Barkley is somebody who I have tremendous amount of respect for, and you're very fortunate to have him as your state assemblyman. But he became the leader of his conference because of not the amount of time he's served in the state assembly. That's not how that works. It's about earning the respect of your peers and naturally becoming the leader of his conference, which is soon to grow. We have to make sure that November 8th, we are not only winning one race in particular that we're going to talk about here today, but we are recruiting the best candidates we can all throughout the state for Congress, for state Senate, for state assembly, and we're trying to grow the ranks of Will Barkley's conference as much as possible. Can you imagine how much better our state would be right now if we had a Speaker of the Assembly, Will Barkley?
Here.
How much better our state would be right now if we had a Senate Majority Leader, Rob Ort? We are talking about balance. This isn't crazy. This is a desire for our state for there to be balance, for there to be common sense in government. That's what we're asking for. That's the expectation of the average New Yorker. By the way, while a whole lot of people have left, you're all still here. I'm still here.
Barely.
A lot of people are barely still here. A lot of my family has left. A lot of my family's in South Carolina and Florida. And as we go around this room, we can all tell stories about how people we know in our lives, they've already hit their breaking point and they've left. The cost of living, the attacks on wallets, safety, we saw it last night with an NYPD officer who lost his life, another one who's barely holding on to his. We're seeing it with the attacks on our kids' education. Just yesterday, in my home congressional district, Governor Kathy Hochul was there talking about how wearing a mask for 2-year-olds in this state is compared to, in her mind, a kid adapting and getting used to putting shoes on their feet. As if this is just supposed to be accepted as the new norm. The attacks on the quality of our kids' education are real. They're being felt not just in areas that might be inclined to oppose somebody like a Kathy Hochul across the board in any year based off of her policy positions on a whole range of topics, but it's coming from blue, Democrat, liberal groups and areas too. It's about fighting for freedom. It's about fighting for our future. I could be in Flushing, Queens, talking to Asian American parents who are loyal liberal Democrats. And something transcending politics is the way that Democrats are attacking the quality of their kids' education. I could be in Sunnyside, Queens, talking to a group of black pastors about public safety, about education, the need for their kids stuck in multi-generational poverty to have the ability to access a quality education. They want to support law enforcement more, not less. Not just in beautifully read, principled, patriotic Oswego County, but everywhere else in the state, people are talking about the same issues right now, and they all want balance. That's what we're asking for, is balance and competency. Will Barkley is in charge of a conference of great members from all throughout the entire state who in many respects are not being given their seat at the table because they don't live in one of 4 of 62 counties in the state. Because they come from one of the other 58 counties, they don't get a seat at the table. When we talk about balance, it's not just political balance, it's geographic balance. It's about everybody all across the state feeling like they have a voice and representation in our state's capital. That's not what we have right now. And I want to make sure that every single one of Will's colleagues are all part of that process this time next year in writing a state budget, in making sure that everyone feels like they have a voice and representation in our state capital. And what that means is doing everything in our power to repeal cashless bail, to enact a law enforcement bill of rights, to reverse the new less is More Act, which I call it the less is moronic act. They're releasing people from prison who belong behind bars. From here, I'm going to Ogdensburg. And it's one of 6 prisons now being closed. The latest prison closure based on political calculation. That is not how you set a prison population. You set it based off of whether people commit crimes. They commit crimes, you investigate, you prosecute, they owe a debt to society. There's so much more that we need to be doing to have the backs of law-abiding New Yorkers, to have the backs of our men and women in blue. Not just our police on the streets, but our corrections officers as well. And our judges, who should have the discretion to be able to look at dangerousness of someone in front of them and flight risk and past criminal record in choosing how to set bail. Balance is about making it affordable to survive in this state. It's about cutting taxes and not having a $216 billion plus state budget that only continues to increase, where they're prioritizing multi-billions of dollars for people who aren't even legally in our country, when instead you have a whole lot of other people who need that relief, that help, and they don't have an Albany fighting for them. Hardworking, middle-income New Yorkers struggling to make ends meet. Governor Hochul just proposed increasing the tuition assistance program to, not increasing the limit for people who can't afford to pay. Talking about expanding it to people who are in prison. So a cap that hasn't been increased in a really long time, and people are barely affording, if at all, to send their son or daughter to college, instead of them getting relief instead. It's being driven to people who are behind bars. We have our own resources in this state that we should be tapping into. And think of all of the jobs that can be created, the money that can be sent to Albany, the taxes that can be cut, the communities that can be revitalized if we were extracting safely our own natural resources and driving down energy costs. But instead, what we have in Albany is a new bill to ban all new gas hookups. A push to get rid of your gas-powered vehicles and replace all of them with electric cars. We're expecting natural gas to go down over the course of the next 12 to 18 months, but instead they're pushing for everyone to switch over to electric, would cost a whole lot more. From one issue to the next, we've heard the need, not just of our families, but our friends, our neighbors, and strangers. And it's not just about individuals hitting their breaking point, it's about our state hitting a breaking point. I mentioned a word earlier, and it's not just some word that we just gloss over. It's something that might be the most important responsibility of government: freedom. On day one, all COVID-related vaccine and mask mandates end. On day one, we fight for our kids who are stuck in schools with divisive curriculums, pitting one kid against another kid based on race. On day one, you immediately feel like you have a government that is there to serve you, as opposed to what we have right now is a government feels, in many respects, like you're there to serve them. Governor Kathy Hochul has said it out loud. She has referred to you as her apostles. There's a lot of work to do, but it's not going to happen on its own. And it's going to be a 62-county strategy everywhere in this entire state. No county is too large or too small. We have to be all in every day with every opportunity that is in front of us to get our word out and make sure that we were winning on November 8th. We saw it November 2nd. It wasn't just in Virginia. It happened in New York. Nassau and Suffolk District Attorney flip, Nassau County Executive, Suffolk County Legislature, New York City Council seats, all across upstate from Colony to Hornell. Towns everywhere flipping from blue to red because people are fed up. And they want to take back control of their country and their state. We are battling for the heart and soul of our state and country right now. I met with somebody yesterday, and he said a whole lot of really great things that I agreed with. And his attitude, as he was referring to another race, not this one, he said the words win, lose, or draw. When he was done, I said, I agree with 99.9% of what you had to say. But losing's not an option. Whether it's the 13 Blue Star families that became Gold Star families with a fatally flawed, incompetent withdrawal from Afghanistan, whether what's happening at our southern border where policies are driving people, encouraging people to not follow our rule of law, but to come here on their own terms, disrespecting our process. Whether it's a supply chain crisis and inflation that is not getting the respect and attention that it deserves from Americans who are struggling to make ends meet, needing a government that is there fighting for them. Or it's here in New York, where we have a state government that has abandoned us. They abandoned 58 of the 62 counties a long time ago. And now we've reached a point where even when you go to those other 4 counties that are left, they will talk to you about public safety and crime more than anybody else. They will talk to you about the quality of education more than anywhere else. I've been invited to events at New York City Democratic councilmen. And as they're introducing me, going after the Democratic Party, saying we need balance in Albany. I've been invited to events by Democratic district leaders in New York City, saying that we need balance in Albany. On top of our leader, Will Barkley, there are a number of other electeds who are here. And Chairman, I loved when you were introducing your current and former legislators who are in room to raise their hands. I immediately saw, I was looking looking straight ahead, and immediately everyone wearing the Army hats put their hands up, which is pretty cool, a little biased. Last night I hosted, it was virtual, my annual Service Academy night where all of my nominees in the 1st Congressional District comes together. We celebrate them, we give them all certificates and recognition. I'm obviously biased, I'm in my 19th year in the Army myself. But for all of the service academies, we're recognizing them. That is the coolest part of being able to serve in Congress, is making that phone call to a nominee to let them know the good news. They're being offered a 4-year appointment to one of our service academies. It doesn't get any cooler than being able to make that phone call, and I thank you to all of the veterans who are here and the law enforcement. And I know that it's been a difficult time here in the county sheriff's office over the course of the last few days and week, and I'd be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity for us to pause for a brief moment and reflect on the life of Melissa France, Oswego County Sheriff's Office deputy. Melissa, who was 45, died this past week after a battle that she had with COVID. She worked for the Oswego Sheriff's Office for 10 years. She was also a Navy veteran. She survived by her 19-year-old daughter, Savannah. And as we reflect in honor of the service of our veterans who are here, and our police, our corrections officers, everyone, I know that it's hit Oswego hard, and I just want to take a moment before we finish up today for a moment of silence for Melissa. Sheriff Hilton, thank you for your leadership in many respects. I've been to Oswego County now. This is, since getting in the race, this is our 4th trip. And we look forward to keep coming back over and over and over again and being able to meet more people. Mayor Barlow, all the elected officials who are here, Chairman Beardsley, Chairman Greenleaf. There's a lot that goes into this effort in the time that's ahead. Perspective is what we need to keep every moment of every day. The stakes is what we need to keep in mind every moment of every day of what's ahead. This beautiful flag and what it stands for, our Constitution, our freedom, our liberties that are at stake. This is a moment in time where we need to go all in, everywhere, no county too large, too small, to do everything in our power to not just fight, but to win, to get our message out, our positions, our passion, our principles earn the support of voters, and then earn keeping our support of voters, and most importantly, at the end of the day, to save our state. Leader Barkley, thank you for your strong endorsement and support. Chairman Weatherup, all of your colleagues who are here, others who are here in spirit. Now we need to go out, we need to fight, we need to win, we need to earn every last vote that we can in Oswego County. It's not about what just naturally comes in the door. It's about us going out and telling everyone out there who's upset about what's going on in Albany and who's in charge that the reason why you have people in New York City deciding who is in charge in Albany is because you're not getting out and vote. They say, I'm not going to vote because everyone in New York City decides who's going to be in charge in Albany. Well, that is why people in New York City are deciding who is going to run the show in Albany. No, instead, the rest of the state takes control of our destiny. This November, November 8th, where we win back the governor's office, where we flip the House of Representatives back from Democrat to Republican. We take the gavels out of the hands of Pelosi and Schiff and Nadler and Waters, where we flip the United States Senate. Sorry, Senator Schumer, but you can't be the majority leader any longer. Where we grow the ranks of Will Barkley's conference in the New York State Assembly, and we grow the ranks of the New York State Senate and Rob Ort's conference. We break supermajority rule of outsized power of self-described socialists, and at the end of the day, we have a victory on November 8th that 40 years from now, they're going to be looking back at what we achieved collectively, this entire group. Thank you for being here in January of 2022, so many months before this election, and doing everything in your part to make sure that we don't just fight, we don't come up short, we end up coming ahead. We earned it, we fought for it, and it's a story that will be told decades from now, what we fought for, what we earned, with the stakes as high as it was. We will save our state, we will save our country, November 8, 2022. Thank you all. I know we have a couple members of the media here. Any questions?